Dude, something just moved my glasses on my head. What is it?
Dave just got scratched. Are you okay, man?
Oh my god. You heard that, didn't you?
You're good at pushing people around, oppressing people. Push me. Push me down these steps.
In September of 2018, we investigated a cabin that was supposedly cursed. And we really wanted to push the envelope to see how far we could take this. But we never expected what happened to happen. And then it became one of the most popular series on this channel. Have you ever had anybody that actually liked living in that cabin down there that didn't have bad things happen to them?
Everybody gets it, stayed in it, ends up dying.
I mean, there's been a lot of people who have been in this cabin here, specifically died in this cabin, or died because they were in this cabin, they think. They think it's cursed, they think it's haunted, from what I understand.
I don't know, I just know that cabin is a death trap.
People have died.
Yeah.
People that actually lived in this cabin, they left the property and they died because of that. They legitimately think there's a curse.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah. Yes, it certainly
This is the weirdest place I've ever been. Weirdest things that ever happened to me in, almost 20 years of investigating. This is the place where the weirdest stuff has ever happened to me.
Bad stuff happens in this cabin when you dig in the basement. This cabin will try and kill you when you dig in the basement.
You want to play hide and seek? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Where are you, Lucy?
As soon as he said 10.
Yes, as soon as he said 10, that thing stopped.
Exactly.
Mine, I had not, you saw I did not move any
No.
They just dead like that.
Immediately, as soon as he said 10.
What? Good shoes. I swear I just heard something. Ooh. What? I swear I just heard a whisper that say, I'm right behind you. No. I swear.
Because there's scratch marks on your back.
Up here?
Yeah.
There is.
Ryan, get over here, dude. You want to see this?
Are you?
There's scratch marks on
there
your
is.
back, dude.
You know, that, like I said, that shakes, yeah, it shakes me up a little bit. I'll be completely honest, that shakes me up a little bit. There we go. There we go.
Are you here now?
Make it stop.
Back up now! Renee, you told us over the phone that, was it 3 days after we left the cabin? You thought you were dying?
Yeah. I was home for a few minutes and the pain started in my chest. Then it started in my back and then it went down my arm to about here. And it was real deep and it was extreme pain. So
That's
I thought,
exactly symptoms of a heart attack.
Yeah.
That's really weird timing, and especially since medically you came back completely fine. It's really strange.
They found absolutely nothing.
That's really strange, and the timing, it's 3 days after we got back from the cabin. What is this?
That is the coin that ended up in my left pocket when we were finished filming in the basement. And so I know there was absolutely nothing in my pockets of my jacket. And when we finished filming down there and we walked up to the porch, I reached my hand in to get my vape and I heard something clank. And this was in my pocket.
The weirdest part about this coin, from what you see it's definitely something that we had never seen before. That coin is from Israel. Which is really weird because none of us have ever been to Israel.
No.
And how this coin from Israel showed up in your pocket.
is really strange.
It's very strange.
I don't know, and then it's very strange that after you found this coin in your pocket, 3 days later you thought you were having a heart attack.
Right.
We just got finished with our interview with Renee, so we're going to take this coin and replace it with Steve because she wanted it to be given to Steve.
What?
She wants you to have this in the museum.
Is that coin that was in her pocket?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to be careful too because Renee kind of thinks that coin is what almost killed her.
So she wanted you to have it here for the museum. So.
Now, one thing that we haven't really talked about since we uploaded that episode to our channel is what happened to Jason in the middle of the night, in the middle of the investigation, once the activity began to escalate. Jason was actually scratched.
Is there scratch marks on your back?
Up here?
Yeah.
There is.
Brian, get over here. Do you want to see this?
Oh my, yeah.
There's scratch marks on your back. Dude.
No, they're there. They're there.
Is it well?
With or
Bring in the
without?
light.
Okay. So we'll get
Bring
you.
it.
Yeah, they're
Is it-
starting to welt. Mm-hmm.
You are.
Don't move.
And in this video, we're going to talk about what happened to him in the events leading up to it. The things that he felt, the things that he saw, and how that affected him. And how it still affects him for how he investigates the paranormal. So Jason, talk us through a little bit what was going on in the moment that you were scratched. What happened on the investigation that all led up to that moment?
Well, like you say, it's about halfway through the night, through our investigation, and most of us were all there in the bedroom, in the central room of this cabin. The REM pod was on the bed, and you know, we had some noises here and there, some activity, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the REM pod starts triggering.
There we go. There we go. Now you figured out how to use it. Do it again.
Are you here now?
There we go. Make it hit the second light.
And it is going off very strongly, very, very consistently. I mean, almost non-stop, and a very strong signal at that.
Is that what it was?
Come on. Grab a hold of that. Use all your energy. That's it. Come on.
I was behind the bed on one side of the REM pod. Most everyone else, you all were around the other side, kind of. And as soon as it started going off, I'm just focusing on this. You know, we've been around the REM pod when it goes off hundreds of times. And this time was different. Within 10 seconds after it began triggering, there was an impressive, very threatening, almost an intimidating feeling that came over me. And the more time elapsed, the more it began to affect me, to where it got so palpable that it almost felt as if I was getting a tension headache directly behind my eyes.
Cobweb chills.
And that paired with the feeling that I need to get out of here. I did not feel right. I felt threatened. My gut honestly was telling me, get the heck out of here. And I wasn't. I decided to stay there, as we always do when we feel that way. But you'll notice in the video there was times when I got a little bit closer to Steve, because Steve was closer to the exit, because still deep down the other half of me is telling me, you know, get the heck out of here, you know, because something's about to happen. It was this very deep gut feeling, and very uncomfortable at that. Again, very threatening feeling as this REM pod's going off. The more and more it went off, it made it that much more real.
Back up now!
That something was not right here, something malevolent. My head's starting to hurt, and I'm kind of standing next to Steve. I'm thinking any minute something's going to happen. I'm just going to flat out run out of here. I'm just going to get out. And then next thing I know, my back is to the wall, and it felt as if in the moment I thought, because it's an old cabin, there's a bunch of wildlife in there, insects. I thought a spider or some other insect had scurried down the small of my back, from behind my back to my tailbone, and I could feel it. It just felt like a little, almost like a tickle, but it felt like a spider. Well, I reached back real fast because I'm thinking, oh, it's a spider, and shook my shirt, sufficiently enough to where I felt like whatever it would have been in there had, dropped out. And I said something because Steve kind of turned at me. He was looking. He's like, what's wrong? Mm-hmm. And I felt it again, and then I start a little more of a violent reaction.
You okay?
Something's right in my back, and I was like, something's in my back, and I was, and it's comical looking back because of how, I was, I kind of broke out into a dance, but I thought again something's still in my back. As y'all started to look, because you thought maybe it's something else, and just to be safe, y'all had pulled up my shirt, and you had discovered that on my back there were 3 scratches.
1, 2, 3. 1, maybe 4.
Just heard
Steady
something
right there.
It's not the voice. That ran down the upper part of my back, and this was, you all started to acknowledge it and saying, "Oh my God, man, you've been scratched." I was in total denial.
Yeah.
There is.
Brian, get over here. Do you want to see this?
Because I knew what I had been feeling up until this point, but I thought there's no way that this is truly what had happened. And you can tell I was in denial. I kept saying, you've got to be, you're kidding me.
Bring it.
Yeah, they're starting to welt.
You are.
Don't move.
And it was crazy because once we actually got to pull up his shirt, I was running the camera, and Steve said, "Ryan, get over here. You have to see this. Get this on camera. There's scratch marks on his back." Just what Steve said. He said, "There's scratch marks on your back, dude." And that was when Jason went into the, "You're me. You're me." And he said it over and over and over again, and you could tell he was getting more and more visibly shaken. So I went around, and sure enough, when I went behind, I looked and had to turn the night vision off, but there were, while faint at the time, still were 3 red marks running down the center of his back in an area where there is no way. Because as human beings, there's only so far we can reach behind us to touch our backs, and this was in the very center, way past where he could have reached himself. Not like he could have taken his fingernails and scratched his back down the center when he thought there was a bug in there. There's no way he could have reached that part of his back.
I can start to film.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
It's starting to burn.
1, 2, 3.
K2 just spiked. Look at it.
It's still spiking.
And the more and more I looked at it, the more it was becoming more visible. And I specifically remember seeing that on his back, and you were almost like you wanted to get out of there in the moment. You were trying to pull away, like you wanted to walk out of there while we were trying to film your shirt, or trying to film your back. And you could just tell you were visibly shaken.
With that, I'm just going to walk out. Because at that point, it was kind of like the apex of that incident there, which, and that came full circle, because then it's like, it started to make more sense to me. For one, that my gut was right. 2, I wasn't listening to it. I should have gotten out of there earlier. That was kind of an impending notion that, hey, something's bad going to happen, and the scratch is the result of that. And so then they're telling me this. I was just in denial, and then it just started to make me feel disgusted. It made me feel violated. We're used to getting anomalies on camera, signatures on our equipment, personal experiences, noises, feelings, temperature fluctuations, things like that. But when you get physically touched to the point where you're left with marks, it's hard to not say that doesn't bring it home for you. Because that's your own body. Each one of us have been physically touched before, but not to the point where it's leaving an injury on us. And so it made me feel disgusted. It made me feel violated, but at the same time, it made it that much realer for me in that moment that, this isn't anything that, to be playing around with. This had the potential to inflict harm on us, and it had just done that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. That, that, like I said, that shakes, it shakes me up a little bit. I'll be completely honest, that shakes me up a little bit.
Which was that cabin. We had so many people warn us, we had so many people say, don't push the envelope too far. Even the people that were with us, Polly and Renee and even Dave, they said don't push the envelope too far in this cabin because this cabin has tried to kill us before.
White smoke filled up this whole entire room in like 4 seconds. We all panicked. We ran and opened the door. You know, we thought we were going to die of smoke and inhalation. And then within 5 seconds, the whole room cleared. Okay.
Just trying to, you think, scare you out of the cabin?
And something, it's just what we do and one person had actually said in a review of that video, you know, why would you do that to get views? They say don't dig in the basement because the cabin will try and kill you. Well, why would you go and dig in the basement? The views aren't worth it. And I'll say 100% it's not for the views. While we love to make content and love to make YouTube videos, it has nothing to do with the number of views that we get. We do this because it's in our blood.
So there's the hole that I dug with my hands. You can see it's a decently deep hole, just a couple feet with my fingertips. Hoping that's gonna be enough to stir something up here. We're gonna leave this running for a few down here along with the recorder and see if anything will happen.
Bad stuff happens in this cabin when you dig in the basement. This cabin will try and kill you when you dig in the basement. We do this because we want to push the envelope for paranormal research and we want to get better results every time. And if something is going to manifest itself, we want to do whatever we can do to make it happen. So it wasn't so much for the views, it was more for the paranormal research aspect of it. And in hindsight, yeah, I think we did push it a little bit too far. Maybe we shouldn't have done everything that they told us not to do. Maybe we should have gone in there with an open mind and just let the equipment capture it. But, I mean, you saw in the series, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But if you haven't, if you saw it, you saw that it brought results. And whether we will regret it or not it still remains to be seen. But like Jason said, that was the first time he has been scratched in his life, right?
That I've been aware of, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it makes you feel violated, like he said. You know, it makes you feel like you would as if a living person attacked you.
With that, I'm just going to walk out. I'm just going to walk out of here.
And it definitely is an uncomfortable feeling. At what point do you think it really set in, Jason, that what had happened to you was actually serious?
You know, honestly, not long after, you know, you, Steve, and Polly was acknowledging it and telling me, you know, and even then I was, you know, I think this was maybe after the cameras turned off, I was still in a little bit of denial because I was like, well, show me on the camera. Let me see what the scratches look like, because we didn't have a mirror nearby that we could use, you know. And it, you know, even it still took that to make it really solidify in my mind, because it was just crazy. And I guess I like to believe that I listened to my gut, but it was like in that moment after I was scratched, as part of the denial was I didn't want to accept the fact that my gut was just screaming at me, you know, look, you dumbass, you know, you should have got the hell out of there. And I didn't. And that's what happened, you know. So that's, if something could come from that I would tell somebody, it was just that, you know, if you have a gut feeling that is that strong, listen to it.
It's giving me an uncomfortable feeling, to be honest with you. You know, you get chills.
You know, like cobweb chills.
It's okay. I'm starting to get a headache.
Monitor water.
I think that investigation as a whole, moving forward, kind of helped shape who we are as investigators, because it was almost like a gut check. It was almost like a look at what happens when you push things too far. And yeah, I would say 100%, at least I would, and I know the guys, if we had the opportunity to do it again, we'd do it again. You know, for the, as I said, for the benefit of paranormal research. But it definitely was a gut check to protect ourselves, to be more aware of what could happen to us when we do push the envelope too far, and to understand that there are some locations and there are some things in this world that are not only unexplainable but beyond understanding. And I think that was exactly what we ran into in that cabin in the middle of the mountains. It's definitely something I don't think we will ever forget.
Yeah. This certainly
This is the weirdest place I've ever been. weirdest things that ever happened to me. And, you know, almost 20 years of investigating, this is the place where the weirdest stuff has ever happened to me. And probably David too.
You see it all the time on television shows. It seems to be like a rite of honor, a rite of passage for paranormal investigators when you're on TV to get scratched by something. But it's different when, you know, it actually happens to you. And I think one of the reasons why we needed to make this video is because we never really addressed the emotional impact of it, the things that were going through Jason's mind, being that he was the one that it happened to. So we wanted you all to be a little bit more aware of, you know, while we do this for research purposes, we are still humans with, you know, we're living, breathing humans with emotions, and, you know, sometimes this type of shit can really mess with your head. So, and that was certainly, this cabin investigation was one of them. So if you've yet to see that video, if you've yet to see that whole series, there's 3 parts for the Cursed Cabin, and it is one of the most bizarre, darkest, most interesting locations we've investigated. And if you haven't watched it, we'll give you links down below in the description where you can find all 3 parts. Go through and watch all 3 parts, and you can see for yourself what happened. We hope this story helps anybody who is a paranormal investigator, or maybe someone who's just a paranormal enthusiast. But I know that we wanted to make this video to make people a little bit more aware of the things that can happen when you push the envelope, when you push things just a little bit too far. So, thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notification button so that you can be alerted every time we upload a new video. And just stay safe out there when you're investigating the paranormal. And it's something that we always advocate for. Stay safe and watch out for each other.